This video is going to talk about both how to name amines and amides. Now, some of this is not required for SL. You can check your learning target sheet to double check, but you should both groups of students need to be aware of what these are, because they're going to come up again when we talk about other types of reactions. An amine contains a nitrogen. An amide or amide contains not only a nitrogen but also the carbonyl group. You can look at the notes here and kind of figure out what you want to write down from your naming packet, but what I would like to focus on in the video here is just how to name them. Now, in terms of naming amines, you're going to want to name the nitrogen group with, you're going to change the ending to amine. So for example, if you look at the first one that I've got as an example there, you have what's called, you have a methyl group attached to that, so that just becomes methylamine. So you would write it like this. Oops, methylamine. Now on the next one, what you would have is two methyl groups. So you would call that dimethylamine. And on the last one that I have, you have 2-aminopentane. Well, we're going to try drawing that one. So pent means that we're going to have 5 carbons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what that's telling us is that on the 2 carbon of that chain, we're going to have an amino group. Now, an amino group is an N with 2 H's. So we're going to write NH2. You could draw them out exactly if you'd like. And then we're going to fill in the rest of the H's. So this end carbon can hold 3 more. This number 2 carbon can only hold 1. 3 can hold this guy 2. He can hold 2 as well. And then the last carbon can only hold 3. So that is an example of 2-aminopentane. Now, in terms of amines, they can be primary, secondary, or tertiary. You've already seen this before, and so I'm going to just kind of cover this with you. But a primary amine would be an amine. How do I want to show you this? An amine that has 1 carbon group. Okay? A secondary amine would have 2 carbon groups. And a tertiary amine would have all of these being carbon groups. They don't have to be the same carbon group. They could be anything, but they just have to be, it's the number of carbons that that N is attached to. Now, for a secondary amine, to name that, the main name is taken from the longest carbon chain. So you're going to look at those carbon chains, and then that is what you're going to be naming that parent as. The other one would be prefixed as like you would a normal methyl or ethyl group, depending on what it is. So for example, if you look at this one, on this example here, the longest chain is the 2 C's. This is an attachment. So what they're going to say is this is going to have the base name ethane, but we're going to change it to ethanamine because it's an amine. The attachment is the N-methyl. Now you don't say that it's a number because it's attached to the N. So we say N-methyl ethanamine. Okay? On a tertiary amine, you're going to have 2 prefixes because you have 2 additional groups. Again, the parent chain is still going to be the one that's the longest carbon. So here, you would have an ethyl group. And on this N, you have 2 methyl groups. So you're going to say NN dimethyl ethanamine or ethanamine. So that's giving you an idea of how to name amines. Now moving on to amides, they're a little trickier. In terms of the easy part is that they are named like an alkane, but the amide is going to be the ending here, because if you look at what this is formed from, CH3CO, this could have been an OH, but instead we've replaced it with NH2 to become an amide, or an N with other HC groups. And so therefore, we're going to take off the oic acid piece and just replace it with amide, excuse me. Now, this is very similar to your amines. When you have a secondary amide, the other alkyl group that's attached is going to be prefixed by an N. So in this example, this is your part that was the N group. This is the parent chain. So we're going to say ethane amide, but then the attachment is a methyl on the N. So N-methyl ethanamide. And that should take care of naming some of the amide and amine groups.